everyone, welcome back to the channel, and today we're doing 1987's sci-fi classic, ROBOCOP. So, let's talk. So in celebration of Arrow releasing a new version of 4K scan of ROBOCOP, we decided today we were going to do a film in 4K review of ROBOCOP. So ROBOCOP was released on July 17th, 1987, is directed by Paul Varahovan, and it stars Peter Weller as ROBOCOP, or Murphy. So in this movie, Murphy gets switched to a new police station. He doesn't know why.
New to him.
It's new to him. He still already works for the police department, who is now owned by OCP. So basically the police force is owned by a corporation.
Big business.
Yeah, which is what this movie is about. It's about consumerism and commercialism and everything like that. You know, it's a whole different world. It's a satire wrapped into a glorified 80s action, hyper-violent movie. And it's personally one of my top 10 movies of all time.
Yeah, over the years, every time I watch it, I love it more and more. Again, this is right up my alley. It's very similar to The Terminator to me. I don't know if it's because it's from Orion Pictures or Orion Studios or Pictures, whatever. It's just got that gritty look that I love. I love 80s take on the future, like just the square stuff and the hyper realistic cars that just we never got. You know, it's just, I love that stuff, that futuristic, what they thought the future would look like in the 80s.
They did get some right and they did get some wrong. Like, I could definitely see them selling a heart, like, eventually, like, a heart made by Yamaha. I could see that happening, like, you know, eventually, or something like that. They get them all in place, but then the car, the 6000 SUX, 8.2 miles per gallon. But then they got some stuff way off, like, you know, like the camera phones, like they're talking to each other through like their video calls. Like
yeah,
it's still pretty good. They had DVDs almost.
Mm-hmm.
They got some stuff right, but I mean, I love this movie. I love the score.
Great. Yeah, it's amazing. it's
so good. The way it's shot beautifully. It's got that gritty feel, like you said, but like the way they put a futuristic spin on Detroit and like all those tall buildings and everything, because they used a lot of models. It's so
now entering floor 95.
Yeah.
So actually, one thing I noticed when I was watching this movie. I don't know did you listen to the last X-Cast from Kinda Funny?
No.
With Paris Lilly, they were talking about the Halo show, and he compared it to RoboCop. Because if you watch the first few episodes of Halo, when the Spartans walk, you can hear as how heavy they were. And that's one thing they did in RoboCop. Every step he takes, you hear the noise of the servos and stuff in his robotics and the weight when he walks. And that was just a cool little detail that they put in that I liked.
That's actually really awesome, and I did love that, especially like they're hiding RoboCop from you, like when they first make him RoboCop after Murphy dies, and you don't see his face, but they do show his face on a camera at the bottom if you look for it.
On the TV, yep.
Because the rest of it they hide him, that they have him walk in front of glass and everything, and you just hear, like Matt said, that bump, and you just know this guy is.
And everyone in the precinct's rushing to go see it and see what the hell's going on. What is this thing?
Yeah, we don't really get that full reveal till he's shooting the gun with them, and his gun is
You see him from behind.
Yeah.
That one scene after you get the profile through the smoked glass.
Yeah, and it's just so good how you get when he's going around doing it. I love that montage when you first get it. He first grabs the keys and he's out there fighting crime and everything like that. You know, it's so good. Like, we can get the rape scene, like, pretty much where he shoots the guy in the dick.
Yeah.
Some great villain performances from Ronnie Cox.
Awesome.
And then Kurtwood Smith.
That's Red from
that 70s.
From that 70s show.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Guns, guns, guns! I love that.
Yeah, no, he did a great performance. And then the guy, I like how they thought when what was the guy's name with the stupid beard and the thin hair? The one that gets melted by the toxic waste?
Oh, that guy, yeah.
I like how they thought in the 80s toxic waste would just melt your skin off. But it's not melting the container that it's in.
No, that's fine. He just gets out, then he gets blasted by the car. Because this movie is violent, it's bloody. Like actually, we were watching a comparison on the Arrow video of a theatrical and director's cut. And the way that they had to cut some gore out for the regular theatrical cut is crazy.
Yeah.
This
very excessive.
Yeah.
The first demonstration of, what is it?
the Ed 209.
Yeah, very excessive. He sunk 50 shots into the guy.
The best is the guy calls, "Somebody get a medic!" Like they're gonna revive that guy.
Well, Murphy survived a bullet to the head and 6 people unloading shotgun shells into him, so...
And he lost his hand before that. Yeah, somehow he did not bleed out.
Yeah, don't know how. This is an interesting universe.
Yeah, it seems like they really do a lot to keep you alive. Now they would have been like, alright, wheel him the gurney and drop him up and he's gone. Like, that's it. They wouldn't even attempt.
I love that about 80s, how everything's just so dirty and gritty, and it's like...
I guess they didn't have hope for the future.
Yeah.
It was just... I loved it. I love movies like this. This is why, like, the Terminator 1 and Terminator 2 and RoboCop are 3 of my top 10 movies of all time, because I just love these kind of movies. And, you know, it's got a deep meaning behind it, and on top of that, it's just that 80s flair. Like, 80s score. You just... You can't replicate that.
Can't beat it.
No. It's just... We live for that, and it's just never going to get better. So for me, this movie's a 10 out of 10.
Oh, yeah. 10 out of 10 for sure.
Oh, definitely. Well, now let's talk about...
Maybe it's nostalgia.
Yeah, it could be nostalgia, but people really do
Some people could watch this for the first time and be like, what is this?
I don't see how, but then again...
I can. You have to appreciate it.
Yeah, I guess so.
And the special effects really weren't terrible.
No,
like,
they had 209.
Yeah, okay. So, he was a pain in the ass on the Sega game. But, I mean, he didn't look terrible. Like, the one scene... in the office, in the display scene, you could tell what was like. It was a very small model, because like they had gray carpet in the office, but they used like, it's almost like the carpet you'd find in like a boat or a car carpet they used for the model. You can see how fuzzy it is. I noticed it on his feet. And there was another scene in the 4K that we noticed when he shoots a rocket. You can see the line.
Oh yeah.
The wire that they shot the missile on. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, no, that was incredible. But yeah, they were using claymations. They were using small models for everything. And the one glaring special effect error is when Ronnie Cox's character falls out the window in the end scene and his arms are just completely doubled in size compared to the rest of his body. But 1987, you know, This is pre-CGI, so they're working with what they're working with, so a lot of that stuff is done practical.
And what was the actor's name who played RoboCop again?
Oh, Peter Weller.
Played Murphy.
Yeah.
Now, was him in the suit the whole time as well?
Yeah, well, for the most part, he was in the suit, and I mean, we've seen documentaries where he's complained about how hard that suit was to actually move around in.
Or act in. And, like, one scene that I noticed when he's getting the flashbacks, like, just the facial expression, because you only see, basically, his chin and his mouth, and that's all he had to act with. I guess he had body motions, but... just all the different mouth movements he was making was selling it, you know?
Yeah, and I remember I saw another documentary, I think it was on Netflix, where they were saying like he was like to get the motions right was a lot of work, to get the motions of a robot. Like him in the studio didn't agree, and then they finally agreed, and it just looks so tough to move. Like he does that like where he's got to like turn and like look. I'm sure it's you know, that suit has to take a beating, so at least, you know, for him to move that slow all the time.
Yeah.
But no, I just love this movie, and let me talk some physical media, because there's a lot of that. Let's talk about the reason you guys are all here, and that is for the new Arrow Video 4K release that just came out. This came from Arrow Video. They actually 2 years ago released this copy, which is that exact version. This is just a regular Blu-ray, but they released it on Steelbook. They also had a similar thing to that, not the exact same, but pretty much the same inside. These are just Blu-rays. This scan, though, was converted to 4K.
So it's the same scan, they just downgraded.
Yeah, actually, if you read the box, it says on the back it's from a new 4K scan seen over by Paul Varahovan that was downgraded to a 2K scan, and that's what we got on here.
And now we got the full-blown 4K
Now, 4K
scan.
with HDR and everything. All the bells and whistles were finally whipped out for this bad boy.
Yeah, so now it's got the nice hardcover, I guess like a hard cardboard stock or something like that they use.
I really love this. This is the Donnie Darko set.
This is like the Donnie Darko one. And then they have like a little bit thicker than usual 4K cases, which I like. That's like an Arrow thing, I guess. And then inside you got a little sticker. I guess it mirrors like the ADT. This house has an alarm sticker, but this one is protected by RoboCop. It's got
You think I'll protect my house?
I don't know. I mean, maybe. You can borrow one of my action figures.
Ooh.
Then it's got some, like, they're not they look like postcards, but they're not actually.
Batteries still work.
Batteries still working. Those are from when I was like 12 years old. And it's just some scenes from the movie on like postcard type material. You know, it's cool.
Yeah.
All collector stuff. They really Arrow aims for the collector, so it's pretty cool. Then they have a director's cut, and then the theatrical inside.
Yep. And actually, we went through and actually looked at all the extras. So there are extras on both the theatrical cut and the director's cut. And like we said earlier, there's one cool new extra that I never saw before, where they compare this. They can do a comparison of the theatrical cut and the director cut, and the theatrical cut and the TV cut. Mm-hmm. Which the TV cut is actually in the extras too.
Yeah, so, they put them side by side, and then they'll show you what it was difference between the two cuts. So like the scenes that they changed, they'll play them both, and then they'll
put an X through what's edited out and what's not. But it was really cool, and they have the full edited TV version on there, so you can see all the stuff that they took out. If you're into that sort of thing, like they really, I couldn't believe how many extras are on here.
Yeah, so definitely the best way to watch is the director's cut for sure.
Yeah, because that has all the full gore and everything, because this is a gory movie.
And then I haven't read through this whole book yet, but there's a nice thick book that comes in here, just like the Donnie Darko set. If you guys have it, I'm sure there's some other Arrow sets that have this. The only one I have is the Donnie Darko. But that's actually the same cover as your Blu-ray, right?
Yep.
So we got the same art on there. And then there's just loads of information and stuff in here. Will I ever read this all? Probably not, but...
Yeah, right now, this whole thing is on sale right now as of today's recording for $32.99 at Best Buy. Down from $42.99.
Really?
Yeah, I just looked this morning, and for $42.99 from Arrow Video, anyway, is an amazing deal. So
yeah, Arrow's top quality, one of those boutique labels.
Yeah, I really feel like with them and Criterion, they do the best attention to packaging. As far as like you get the better quality packaging from them. And then usually what Arrow Video does is like in like a few months they'll just release the Blu-ray version, the 4K Blu-ray on its own without like in that nice box. It'll just be the regular 4K box, and it'll be like usually like $29.99 or something like that.
Something like that. And then there was also a nice double-sided poster that they included in there, which is the new 4K box art, and then the previous Blu-ray box art. Which is, like you said, that's the original.
That's the original
poster,
original.
Right?
That's the one I would hang up on my wall personally.
Yeah. So it's a nice thick paper material. It's a good print. They spared no expense with this release.
They really sprung for all the bells and whistles on this one.
Yeah.
But we actually just wanted to show you guys before we wrapped up. There were a few other Blu-ray releases in the past. Like we have been collecting since the beginning. I actually bought Matt a wonderful, thoughtful gift back in like 2008. I bought him this, and you can see how much he values our friendship.
I don't know why I never opened
it.
I don't know why.
No, and then because I bought him this, a few years later I bought myself this Blu-ray version. Different cuts, actually, different scans actually, believe it or not. Yep, this is the very first Blu-ray scan. This is, I believe, 2013, I want to say, if I'm correct.
Okay. And then I guess I never opened that one because I just had the trilogy set. So this has all three RoboCops.
Yep.
Number one. I wonder what disc this is. I wonder if it's your disc or the older one.
I believe that's actually the disc that I have. But
okay. And then you got RoboCop 2 and RoboCop 3.
And then there was also a remake that Matt has the Blu-ray for that. I actually have never watched the remake. I really have no plans to, but Matt says it's pretty good.
I'm not going to lie, it took me a while to watch this. I watched it and I was pleasantly surprised. I would probably even watch it again. It wasn't terrible. Yes. It's not the original, but for a fan, you might find something there.
Maybe I'm being too much of a stickler and I just need to eventually suck it up and just do it, right?
Check it out.
But overall, I think that the best way to see this is definitely on the new Arrow 4K set. I could totally recommend that. I myself bought that as well, even though I have the same scan from a few years ago. There are not many differences. I'm not going to lie, after watching both of them. If you have the one from a couple years ago, you could stick with it. Mm-hmm. I don't think that it is a necessary...
Is there Dolby Atmos on the Blu-ray? I think the big step up would be the Dolby Atmos track.
Yeah. They had a lot of different choices for audio. Actually, it actually starts. Make sure you look for that in 2.1 stereo.
And that's one thing you should always do if you got a home theater set up. Before you hit play, always go into the audio settings, because you don't know what the default... Most of the time it defaults to the highest quality, but sometimes it doesn't. Like in this case, it defaulted to the 2.0.
Yeah.
So there was 2.0, something else, 5.1, and then Dolby Atmos. So pay attention to that whenever you start up the movie.
Yeah, so in between the audio upgrade and definitely the HDR definitely helped it out, but as far as the scans, they look very similar. I noticed some little things as far as attention to detail that I didn't notice on the 2K. One thing I really noticed, they had a very close-up shot on his mask, and I noticed like a blemish on it just from like maybe the mask was sitting around for the day and like somebody touched it, like, and you could just see a little blemish. And 4K is just going to give you that no one would have ever thought about. Mm-hmm. But definitely I can recommend that you go out and get this if you have any of these older Blu-rays. But if you have the 2K version from a couple years ago, you don't have to run out and get it unless you're a massive fan like we are, because we had to run out and get it. Well, I did. Matt didn't have the 2K scan. I had no choice. I'm a huge RoboCop fan, and I had to make sure I got the latest version. If they release another 4K, I'll probably buy it.
I don't know. I don't know how they can outdo this. This is a nice set.
This is definitely the best set that they've had available. But anyway, guys, thanks for joining us on another episode of Let's Talk, and make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and tell your friends.